Ken and Wing here. I have a question for you. How do you select the final name for your company, product, or service? Do you invite a bunch of friends over, have a little vino, see what jives with them? Or are you the type of person who does a lot of market research? Maybe you choose it on a gut level, that final name. But what if you knew someone in the naming business and they had a proven way of selecting a winning name? You'd want it, right? Good, because that's what I'm going to give you for free right now. This is what I would share with my best friend if I only had 30 minutes to make sure she got the right name for her creation. You know, something that she's putting in countless hours, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, really priceless heart and soul into that one creation. This is how I would help her make sure she has the best name. I would share with her exactly what I've shared with you so far, which is the secret master key from the first video in this series, the 10 evidences of greatness, and the name map that we discovered in the second part of this series. Now, what I'm going to share with you right now, I call the 4x4, because you're only going to get 4 minutes to test your name against the 4 attractions. This is my 4-minute $1 million name maker, and it works like magic. So the 4 attractions are how you're going to gauge, how you're going to judge if your name is attractive to the marketplace. Number 1, emotion. We're all emotional beings, and our emotions often make our decisions. So be emotional. Number 2, wish fulfilled. We discussed that a name calls into being a greater future. Let's drill down. What is that wish that you're fulfilling? What is that secret need, that specific need inside the hearts of your audience that only you can meet? Number 3, new but familiar. We're attracted to the new. We live in a culture of new. Right now, new equals better. But I want to draw your attention to a subtlety. We love the new, yes, but as soon as we're going for something new, we seek out a sense of the familiar. It's like a survival mechanism. We orient ourselves with the familiar. A name is an invitation to something new, a new product, new service, new company, but with the added security of the familiar. Number 4, memorable. When we're attracted to someone, we've all been there, or something, we just can't stop thinking about it. It's so memorable. It's so addictive to think about. It's addictive to share, addictive to talk about. So we want your name to be memorable. Now, I want you to take out a pen and paper and draw a diagram like this one. It's a pretty complicated diagram. So I want you to go through your name list that you created in the last video. You number your names 1 through 90. If you did your homework, you've got 90 names to number. And I want you to take those names and you're going to ask yourself 4 questions for each name. And then you're going to place the number of the name on the graph to rank where that name fits in this quadrant. You only give yourself 4 minutes or less per name to answer these questions. In fact, the quicker you can answer them, the better the name. Here we go. Emotion. I want you to name the emotion that this name evokes. And how deeply does it evoke that emotion? If there's more than one emotion, maybe you want to refine that name. There's a little copy editing for you right there. So Snuggle detergent is the emotion of love. Mayhem from Allstate is the emotion of fear, specifically fear of the unknown happening to you. So here's a hint. Listen, you don't want to get caught up in worrying that you chose the wrong emotion. All of the emotions can work. It's not about which emotion, it's about how well you embody them. That's what's the deciding factor on a great name. So go big or go home when it comes to emotion. Wish fulfilled. Does this name solve a conflict for your audience? Inner or outward conflict? Does it make a promise? You know, if you think about it, this is very closely connected with emotionality, that wish fulfilled. Is it new but familiar? So great names, they have this duh factor. I never tell people this, but early on in my career, I named MTV2. And I never tell people this because whenever I explain it, they're like, duh, that's so obvious. I could have come up with that. But that's a great thing to have in a name. Now, that was a new but familiar name. The M was the familiar and the 2 was the new, because MTV didn't even know if they wanted the M in the name. They were going for something like Spike TV. They wanted a one-word metaphor name, but there's tons of those. So when I gave them MTV2, they hit that new but familiar spot, and it was so like, duh, that's the name. So if new and familiar were a seesaw, you want it to look like this, equally balanced. This is crucial. If you just have like familiar, then it's probably like a boring descriptor name, and you want to toss that name. If it's more balanced, then you've really hit it. And then there's memorable. There are 5 key factors to being memorable. Easy to say, easy to pronounce. Remember that R's, V's, and J's are challenging for international audiences. But you decide if this is a huge factor for you. Verizon isn't hurting for it, certainly. Is it fun to say? Does it roll off the tongue? Have a musicality? And don't limit yourself to thinking only Italianate names are fun to say. Kleenex and Xerox are fun to say too. Easy to spell. Do you spell it just like it sounds? Is it easy to repeat? Google, Kleenex, Lululemon do this very well. Who doesn't like to say Lululemon? The faster that you can answer these questions, like I said, the better the name. Thus the 4-minute $1 million name maker. You want a name that fits all 4 attractions, or one so perfectly that it eclipses the others. Okay, so if it hits that bullseye in the graph, then it hits all 4 equally. And limit yourself to 4 minutes. If you need to set an alarm, do it. Do not give your favorite name 10 minutes just to make it win and hit that bullseye. You only get 4 minutes because it puts your name through the ringer. When you launch your name, it probably will barely get 4 seconds to make the 4 attractions sizzle for your audience. And we want a name that really sizzles and pops. So be brutal in this process. You've been the researcher, you've been the creator, you've been before you've been the researcher, you've been the creator, now you're going to be the editor. You're looking for a name in the bullseye of that graph, or one that hits one of these 4 attractions so well it just blows everyone else out of the water. That's my 30-minute quick fix for you to get your $1 million name. If I had more time with you, I would share the biggest name weapon, which is story. This is where it gets so good. This is like my $1 million secret. Story is why I was able to become a namer and why I've been naming for 21 years so blissfully. The 4 attractions of a great name that we just learned. The best part is when you use those 4 attractions to their fullest potential, they tell the greatest story ever told in one word: your name. What do I mean? Emotion, a wish fulfilled, new but familiar, and memorable are key factors in creating a powerful story that resonates in the heart of your audience. Right? Story is everything. Story is what separates the amateurs from the pros. The use of story is the difference from like, kind of a understandable product name, you get it, and an unforgettable household name. Writing the greatest story ever told, that's where it's at. If you haven't joined us yet, don't miss out on this next video coming out on story. Make sure you sign up with your email at the link below or at CannonWing.com if you're seeing this video elsewhere. And together we will write the greatest story ever told in one word: your name. I'll see you in the comment section.